Juventus continuing their perfect start to their Champions League campaign, beating Manchester United at Old Trafford by 1-0. The scoreline doesn't really tell the whole story, though, does it, Craig?
No, it was like a training game for most of it, and I know Pogba hit the post in the second half and it came back off Szczesny, but let's be honest, I thought Juve had switched off. They did it against Genoa at the weekend when they were controlling the game. Allegri was furious, and they did it again in this game because they were miles the better side.
No question. First half, men against boys. United actually had plenty of men behind the ball at times in their own half, letting Juventus have it, but nobody closed the ball down, and so it just became too easy. Juventus picking passes off, and but for them being poor in the attacking third of the field, this could have been a lot worse. If you look at 1-0, it looks close. It won't really.
So you look at a United team that never really gave themselves an opportunity. They never really tested Juventus. They never got after Juventus. And when they tried to do so in the second half, it was too little, too late. I just don't know if you're Manchester United, if it's worth it to just sit behind the ball when you're really not going to create problems for Juventus, or at least take a chance, take an opportunity. See the result that happened with Valencia. You know you got some points out there that you can go ahead and get. Instead, it's all very timid, very conservative, and in the end, they end up losing a game that they had no business.
The good news for United, though, today was that Valencia could only manage a draw in Switzerland against Young Boys, meaning, in theory, if United beat Young Boys, then they should be in the driving seat with regards to second place in this group.
Yeah, I've got to go to Valencia in the last game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big blow for Valencia. There's not a doubt about it. But I mean, they should be in the driving seat for second place. I don't know, it might come down to goal difference, I don't know.
I mean, realistically, for Valencia, they were probably thinking it was all about beating United when they get them at home anyway. This is not a good result, but it could have been worse. They could have got no points. The fact that they got one,
right,
to me, still means that it's about the United game.
It's a sad state of affairs for Manchester United. When they're now talking about what Valencia does against Young Boys, instead of can we challenge Juventus. That the question becomes what you do about Valencia rather than what you do about Juventus. It really tells you where Manchester United are.
A lot more analysis on this game, plus the rest of the Champions League talking points to come on ESPN FC, available later today on ESPN+. PSG against Napoli. Just a reminder, PSG with just the one win so far after that defeat against Liverpool. Napoli unbeaten, the biggest test for them, though. This is it then, Jules. Proper test for PSG, isn't it?
It's a huge test, and as well on Sunday we talked about the Clásico for Barcelona and Real Madrid. There's also the Classique for PSG going to Marseille on Sunday night. So back-to-back games for Tuchel, and real first test. It's a week. It feels like a week of truth for Tuchel and his team to see how they cope with this Napoli team under Carlo Ancelotti, who is coming back to the Parc des Princes. Edinson Cavani will face again his former team as well. It'll be interesting to see Neymar and Kylian Mbappe facing this Napoli defense as well. And for Napoli, they're such in a strong position after beating Liverpool at home in match day 2 that if they can get at least even just a point in Paris, it'd be a very good result for them before facing the Parisian in Naples in 2 weeks' time.
Looking ahead to this game, Jules, Barca favourites. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, considering, of course, there's no Messi and it's the Clásico this weekend.
Yeah, you're right. It'd be very interesting to see how they play. First, who replaces Messi? Will it be Ousmane Dembélé probably, or will Ernesto Valverde plays a different style of football, different system? Will Malcolm have a chance maybe? It'd be very interesting to see that, and also how do they play without Messi? You know, who's going to take the lead? Who's going to take the ball? Who's going to be the boss of this team? It'd be very interesting to see. Inter on the back of their derby win against Milan in the last minute with Mauro Icardi. By the way, facing his former club, he was a youth product at La Masia, so it'll be very emotional for him, I guess, to face Barcelona again. It's going to be a very good game, interesting game. You could expect maybe the Italians to play quite safe, quite defensive, because a draw would be quite a good result for Inter as well.
And the Santiago Bernabéu today, Real Madrid with a victory over Victoria Pilsen. However, the side were whistled off at half and full time. Once again, the performance lacking the sort of cutting edge that Real Madrid fans have come to expect against a team that are so inferior, certainly compared to their next opponents, which is, of course, Barcelona. It didn't have to be this way, Ali. Surely this could have been a great way to build some momentum after that horrible defeat against Levante, but it didn't turn out that way.
At the start of last week, Real Madrid and the rhetoric coming from Real Madrid was, you know what, we're going to utilize Levante's game to get some confidence, build momentum. And then in the midweek, we're going to destroy Victoria Pilsen, and that is going to make us even better against Barcelona. Well, they lose to Levante. Confidence is gone. Lopetegui, who knows what his job status is. And they play against Victoria Pilsen. And you might have thought, okay, well, this is again the step forward. This is the launching pad. No. It's a victory that created more doubt than anything else. And against a team that, oh, by the way, Victoria Pilsen had chances, opportunities, sitters, that if they were halfway decent team in the final third, it would have been a different scoreline. Real Madrid in trouble in a moment that all of a sudden it's important to beat Victoria Pilsen at home.
4 days until El Clasico. You can't imagine that Lopetegui is suddenly going to find a magic formula behind the couch to get this working. There's no real hope, is there, for Madrid?
Oh, well, there's always hope when you've got good players, but the good players are just not playing well at the moment. So I suppose there's one upside, there's no Messi, but if you play like that again, you're going to get pasted at the weekend. And maybe that's the comeuppance that Florentino Perez needs, because here's a guy that thought he could just go out before the World Cup and disrupt everything and, you know, hire the manager and then announce and then leak it out, and then it was a right mess. And, you know, I think it was just arrogance, and now, you know, obviously, and maybe he got a bit arrogant with the fact he didn't think Ronaldo wanted to leave either. I don't know. Maybe he was happy for him to leave. It seems like a big, huge mistake now. So they're in trouble by their standards. He can get it right, I suppose, but if he doesn't, he's out the door.
They're kind of rudderless.
Yeah.
Certainly on the field, they're rudderless, and that means that this is when the coach has to become the leader. He has to step up and do something. And it doesn't mean that it has to be anything particularly incredible. Just make little changes so that you're giving the players something to grasp on. You know, go around them, try and encourage them, try and get their confidence back. That's your job as a coach when things are not going well. But what you can't do as a coach when things are going horribly wrong is keep throwing out the same bodies, trying to play the same way. I mean, we criticise Zidane and we questioned his tactics at times. Well, when this was happening to them, under him, he changed it. Lopetegui has to change it, because if he doesn't against Barca, they're going to get smashed.
When did Lopetegui take the job? It was after the Euros in 2016, wasn't it? Was it, yeah?
Yeah.
So, why didn't Florentino Perez wait until they actually played in a proper tournament to see if this guy could manage properly? Because, all right, Spain were playing great stuff and all that, but they were coming through the European qualification for the Euros, which for the Spanish teams and the French teams is usually pretty simple. So he should have waited and saw what kind of manager he was, manager at the World Cup, before he jumped in and made a decision. He didn't, he jumped in, and he looks as if he's got somebody who hasn't got a track record at club management, and that's proven now.
He's gone, isn't he, after El Clasico?
If they lose El Clasico, and I think in the manner in which they lose, yes. I don't think these are players that really buy into whatever he's selling. No. And that has become very clear. And so when you're saying that they're rudderless, is part of it, he may just have a beautiful message to give out, but the players are saying, you know what, no thanks, not today, not ever.
Hello and a very warm welcome then to Extra Time. Thank you very much for your tweets. Julian Laurent is with us as well. Jules, during the old Cuadrado Pogba picture, we didn't have a chance to go to you. Is this a storm in a teacup?
I'm a bit with Craig on that one. It's not a big deal to me. I can understand why the timing is a bit wrong, but I guess Cuadrado wanted a photo with Pogba. Pogba obliged to the photo. They're good friends. Pogba maybe didn't know that Cuadrado would put it on social media. It's a difficult one. I mean, what, is Pogba going to refuse the photo and say to Cuadrado, I don't want to take a photo with you, Justin? It's a difficult one. Yeah, okay, he's smiling and he shouldn't be smiling because he just lost a football match. But I think there's bigger issues at Man United right now than Paul Pogba taking a photo with a friend of his.
Right then.
Which is what we said, but...
Which what you said. Stevie didn't say that.
Move on.
Well, maybe I don't want to.
Don't move on then.
Glasses have been thrown, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't move on then.
Would anyone on the panel have Lukaku on his team if you're a manager of any team?
Lukaku?
Chelsea must have been laughing all the way to the bank when they sold him. Didn't have a good game today. Was it his fault today?
He's just going to ignore what I said there.
What do you say?
He'll go to Everton.
Yeah?
What about Everton?
Yes, I know it's a mistake in the tweet. I was moving on from the mistake.
Oh, okay.
Was it his fault, what?
That he didn't have a good game today?
Listen, I guess you have to stick up for the centre forward who gets no service. You know, at the end of the day, he's there to put the ball in the back of the net primarily. But if his teammates don't get him any opportunities, then you can't blame him, certainly for not scoring. On the other hand...
there it is.
On the other hand...
There it is. Look at you!
When you've actually very rarely got the ball and you need to keep a hold of it,
Yep.
when it does go to him, it doesn't always stick, and that's very frustrating, I would suggest, for
You say it's very
Man
frustrating.
United.
You say it's very frustrating, but you say it with a smile.
Well, it's not a surprise anymore, is it?
Oh, boy.
Why, this is a very good tweet, why are PSG, Napoli, Barca, Inter and Dortmund, Atleti all on at the same time? What's the point of staggering the kickoffs? Of course, UEFA doing it this time for the first time in the Champions League. Why stagger them if you can't put any of those three matches on early?
Well, are you asking us
I
about
don't know. No,
the scheduling of...
Let's ask Julian. He must know
League
the answer
matches?
to this.
So, from what I understand, the bigger games can't. If you make them the early kickoff, you're obviously losing more in revenue, and you're losing probably more viewers as well from whoever is showing the game, because there's less people watching a game at 6 o'clock than they do at 8 o'clock in the UK, for example. So I think those bigger games tend to be at prime time, which is 8 o'clock, and not at 6 o'clock when people are still at work or leaving work or on their way home or things like this, which makes more sense for UEFA to keep the biggest game at prime time, slot than earlier on. That's why we have Club Brugge against Monaco tomorrow, for example, and not PSG Napoli or Barca Inter or
Spurs Inter.
I'm not sure 100%, but I believe that's how it
Spurs
works.
Inter was match day one, wasn't it? That was the early kickoff, though, Jules.
Yeah, it was, which was quite a good game, but it's not as big as a Barca Inter, for example, I believe, or even a PSG Napoli. I mean, I don't know. This is just me.
Steve Nicol, you guys will say that it was only Leicester at home, Ozil, but that was world-class performance. So my question is, why are we seeing Ozil main stage now? Is it because he's had to listen to Emery because he was tracking back, because if he doesn't, he's out of the team?
It's a lot of cuts.
That's what again. Is that 240 characters? That's impressive, Cameron.
No, don't try to read it.
So what's the question? There's about 5 questions in that question.
Has Emery worked out the way to get Ozil ticking?
I would suggest you have to wait until the bigger games to find that one out, because the only way we'll know whether Emery's actually getting the job done and turning Arsenal into a team that will compete first of all for the top 4, but for the title, is when they do perform this way against the better side. There's no question it's easier against teams outside the top 4. It's easier against teams that you're expected to beat. I suppose the one thing you could say is that at the end, for Arsene Wenger, they couldn't beat anybody. So they are beating the teams they're supposed to beat right now, but to go any further is a little premature, I would suggest.
This is from Steve Nicol's burner account.
Ah.
Craig, what team do you support? It seems like everyone else supports the teams they used to play for, but I can never tell if you support Chelsea or not.
I don't support any team. I've made that crystal clear.
Hey, more importantly, does Steve Nicol know what a burner account is?
I don't know why I have to keep telling people.
I'll see you.
I'm not going to keep telling
as
people.
well. It's bad enough I'll get him trying to take the
I
match.
thought it was a fair question.
Jules, who's your English team?
Arsenal.
That was said definitively.
Right, yes. Well, now,
So, you know what,
after
Jules?
winning 10 in a row,
Hey,
yes.
actually, we're always getting pelted.
No,
right?
see, I mean,
We're always
It's
getting
easy, 'cause
pelters.
I
And
came
I'm
to this
particularly getting
country.
pelters, saying that Arsenal aren't beating anybody. You're an Arsenal fan.
Oh.
So, am I being disrespectful to Arsenal, or am I closer to the mark?
No, I think you're spot on. I think
Oh, well done, Stephen.
you can only beat what's in front of
Thank
you.
Okay, you can stop there. That's enough.
But we need to see a bit more against the bigger teams as well.
Red Sox or Dodgers?
Oh,
World Series.
Red Sox.
Red Sox.
We're silly.
Oh.
It's coming home. It's coming.
Craig, any baseball interest?
No.
No.
I think the pitching for the Dodgers may just steal this one away. I'm just saying.
Yeah?
So it may not be coming home after all.
Not coming home?
Well, too.
Dodgers?
Stevie's home.
That's it? You're going away, Ali?
Yes, I am.
Cruising?
I am
Off into the
cruising.
distance?
Yes, indeed.
Have a lovely time.
Oh, thank you very much.
Say hi to Mickey for me.
I will. Yes, I will.
Well, we will be here, though, on the next edition, looking back at those big games that Jules made reference to, the likes of PSG, who are playing Napoli, Dortmund Atleti,
At the same time.
Barca Inter, all at the same time. Well done, UEFA.
We've just seen Manchester United lose 1-0 to Juventus in the Champions League tonight, but the reality is a 1-0 defeat, it felt like a much bigger defeat. United were outclassed by Juventus tonight. It could have been 3 or 4 for the Italian champions. It was one of those nights where the gulf between the two sides was obvious, and after the game Jose Mourinho spoke about how Juventus are a club that have got a great history and want to have a great future as well, and they'll spend big to get it. He spoke about signing Ronaldo and Leonardo Bonucci, and talked about the gap that exists between the two teams. Now, for me, Juventus are a team going places, United less so. They look like a team of a disparate group of players, that some players are passing through, like Paul Pogba maybe, some players aren't good enough anymore, the likes of Nemanja Matic, Chris Smalling, Ashley Young, and people like Lukaku, who, you know, talks good game, but isn't playing as well as he should be at the minute. He's not scoring many goals. So this was United's 50 defeat in 13 games this season, and it seems to be a team that doesn't really have any sense of progression under Mourinho. Will he stick around to see it through? Again, United's form and performances aren't good enough, but there's no real obvious replacement for Mourinho out there. But my view is that Mourinho will stay at the club for the next few months, but doesn't seem to be going anywhere. United probably need a change in the summer. It seems to be a club without any kind of sense of direction right now, and the team is just limping along.
After 2 years, Tata Martino is leaving Atlanta United. The club's first ever manager is heading on to pastures new. There's a lot of rumours, news in the air that he's going to become the next Mexican national team coach. Do you think that will transpire, and why do you think he's made this move?
I think he took on the Atlanta United job because it was so different as to what he had done in the past. And I think the ability to put a team together from the very beginning and say, all right, this is what we're going to build step from step. This is what we're going to head to. This is the direction we want to go into. And in order to do this, we need this sort of players. And in an environment in which there isn't the sort of day-to-day pressure that you would have had in Argentina, Barcelona, wherever he has coached in the past, where there isn't this questioning and second-guessing. Tata Martino walked into Atlanta and people were appreciative of the fact that he was there and the amount of knowledge and experience that he brought to Atlanta. He took on this challenge and was very successful and has been very successful. And oh, by the way, they still have in front of them the possibility of winning MLS Cup this year. When Mexico comes knocking, I do think that there's a part of him that says, I want that pressure again. I want that environment. I want to be part of the beehive. When you have been in the middle of it with Argentina, with Barcelona, maybe you get tired of it. But man, it doesn't get bigger than that stage. And Mexico provides an avenue into that stage once again. And so I think there's something for him in that he wants to be part once again of that pressure and that environment in which he's second-guessed and he's asked 1,000 questions, and yet he feels that his process, his coaching, his ability to put together a team is what makes a team successful.
He's been a massive part of what is really, you can't say it any other way, an overnight success in Atlanta. Some of the statistics, as we take a look at what they've been able to do, you know, most points, most goals, highest goal difference in the last 2 years of any MLS team. And this is a brand new organisation. They required his expertise and he's given that input. Is this a big loss for MLS, or is it really a signal to say this is the kind of coach that we can provide the same opportunity to down the track?
It's a big miss for MLS because the impact that he has had on this league, I think, and the mark that he has left in this league is one that is indelible. It's one that you simply cannot put just numbers on it. There is an effect, there is a perception when you have a guy like Tata Martino come to your league and do the things that he has done, that you send a very clear message across the world as to, yes, these are the sort of managers that now MLS is going after. Or at the very least, organizations like Atlanta are going after. That's the sort of club that they want to be. So it's a miss for MLS, it's a miss for Atlanta United, but it also has set a very high standard. So the next guy that comes is going to be measured to that standard. And so you're not just going to get any other guy coming from the street. You're going to do a coaching search that covers a whole lot of options and a whole lot of opportunities, and that next manager is going to be one that will be evaluated against the standards set by Tata Martino. That's lofty standards, but that's what Atlanta has become in Major League Soccer. Yes,
he certainly helped to open the door for that prospective new head coach to come from a very high place indeed. Whatever happens, it's a new beginning for Atlanta United and a new beginning for Tata Martino. Keep it here at ESPN FC as we keep across all the developments.